Hey guys, this is Pooka back with another new deck using some brand new X and Y cards, and this is going to feature the awesome new Fairy type Pokemon. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any Xerneas EX on Pokemon TCG Online, so was not able to throw this into this deck, but I don't even know if we need it. We're going to take a look at this deck that I came up with that's pretty similar to decks from the past revolving around, well, think back to the 2012 U.S. National Champion John Roberts II and his awesome Kling Klang deck that revolved around moving Rainbow Energy and Prism Energy to his Pokemon so we can use all different types of Pokemon and just take advantage of all different types of weaknesses. Now we have a new age version of this deck since Rainbow Energy returned, and we have the brand new Aromatisse. So this has the ability Fairy Transfer, which allows you to move your Fairy energy from Pokemon to Pokemon as often as you'd like. So in the past we've seen Kling Klang Shift Gear, allows you to move Metal energy around. We have Hydreigon's Dark Trance, allows you to move Darkness energy around. And now we have Aromatisse, which allows you to move Fairy energy around. But the difference is this is a Stage 1 Pokemon, making it very, very easy to get into play. And also takes up less space because you don't have to play cards like Rare Candy. So we'll start off simple with 3 Spritzy and then 2 Aromatisse. That's about it. You don't need to run a very big line. You just need to get one into play, and that allows you to move your energy around. Alright, so what are we powering up with this deck? Well, first things first, what separates this deck is that it does have some energy acceleration. We have this regular Xerneas with the attack Geomancy. For 1 Fairy energy, you get to choose 2 of your benched Pokemon, and then take a Fairy energy card out of your deck and attach it to that Pokemon. So it's very similar to Victini EX's Turbo Energize, which we're also playing, which allowed you to search for 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your benched Pokemon. This is a little more stricter. You do have to take Fairy energy and attach them to 2 different benched Pokemon, but still the same effect when you can just move them around with Fairy Transfer. So this is a very good attack on a basic 130 HP Pokemon. For 1 energy, Geomancy will allow you to get a bunch of energy in play early on, which is awesome. Lots of decks need energy acceleration to keep up with the big attackers we have in the game. So, now that we've gotten energy in play, we can move them around. Where are we going to move the energy to? Well, first of all, we have Darkrai EX. Might seem a little counterintuitive to run a Dark Pokemon and a Fairy Pokemon, but the reason we're going to play it is mainly for its ability Dark Cloak. If you think back to what made those Kling Klang and Hydreigon decks successful, it's the fact that Darkrai EX gives everything in your deck free retreat. And that's going to be the case once again, since if you have a Rainbow Energy or a Prism Energy, you can just get free retreat on all of your Pokemon. Aromatisse can move the energy to your active, and then you can retreat to whatever Pokemon you need. Plus, Darkrai is a pretty decent attacker, but nowhere near as good as Yveltal EX, which I think is the best Pokemon in this set. Why? Evil Ball is ridiculous. For 2 energy, it does 20, plus 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So it's like Mewtwo EX's X-Ball on steroids. It does 20 extra damage compared to Mewtwo's X-Ball. And we all know how good Mewtwo EX has been over the past few years. So this is just an incredibly good Pokemon, especially when you can just move energy to it whenever you want. You can just load it up with a bunch of energy and Evil Ball and pretty much knock out whatever you want. So this is always going to be a very, very good card. Now, I decided to throw in some other things for specific types. First of all, we have Terrakion, which has always been very good for knocking out fighting weak Pokemon. Retaliate for just a fighting and a colorless can knock out any EX that's weak to fighting as long as your active was knocked out on the previous turn. It'll do 90 damage with Retaliate, and you can take things down like Thundurus EX and Darkrai EX in one shot with this 130 HP basic that only takes 2 energy. Very good. Or if you need to, you can Land Crush instead for 90. So 90 times 2, that's 180, knocks out pretty much everything that's weak to fighting. Then we have other cards for specific matchups like Victini EX. Intensifying Burn can knock out fire-weak Pokemon like Genesect EX and Virizion EX. And also Turbo Energize can help you. It's an alternative to Geomancy that Xerneas had. I'm not sure if you need this in the deck, but it seemed like a good idea. Then we have Suicune, which is just nice to have because it's a safeguard Pokemon. And thanks to Muscle Band, which we'll get to in a second, you can knock out pretty much every Pokemon in 2 hits with Aurora Beam. It's just a nice Pokemon to have in the deck. You never know when a safeguard Pokemon is going to come in handy, and it gives you a different type to work with as well. Then we have Cobalion. Has Energy Press, 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to the defending Pokemon. Why would we play this? 2 reasons. There is the Plasma Curum that's weak to Metal. Cobalion's pretty good against that. And also, if you notice, all these Fairy-type Pokemon happen to be weak to Metal. So say we do run into that Mystical Xerneas EX, which I don't own. It's weak to Metal, and a very simple Energy Press can knock that out, hitting for weakness once again. We also have Zekrom EX. I don't know if this actually belongs in the deck, but Glinting Claw, if you put a Muscle Band on it, it will knock out an Empoleon immediately. So it's a nice card to have. And it can also deal with the popular Lugia EX pretty well. If you flip heads on Glinting Claw, when you have a Muscle Band attached, you just get an instant knockout on a Lugia EX, or for 1 extra energy, we can Strong Volt for 150. Times 2 would be 300 to a Lugia EX. I don't know if this belongs in the deck, but I just threw it in here. Since you can run any type of Pokemon you want, you have Rainbow and Prism Energy. It's pretty darn good. Alright, then we have Virizion EX. This is basically just for Verdant Wind. It prevents special conditions, stuff like Hypnotoxic Laser. Virizion EX is always going to be a pretty good card as well. So that's all the Pokemon. Otherwise, I've been talking a lot about Muscle Band, and that's because it's the best trainer in the set. Your attacks do 20 more damage. You can attach this to anything. You can attach it to EXs, any type of Pokemon, whatever you want. It's just a ridiculously strong card that's going to be played a ton. I can pretty much guarantee that. Otherwise, the deck is pretty straightforward. Like those other energy-preserving kind of decks, we run a heavy count of Max Potion. We have 3 of those in the deck. So basically, the idea is you use Fairy Transfer to move the energy away from a Pokemon that got hurt. Then you Max Potion to heal off all the damage. And then you move the energy back to the Pokemon and take an easy knockout. Well, you would hope. The idea is your Pokemon survive. I don't know why I said take an easy knockout. Whatever. Otherwise, yeah, nothing fancy about this deck, besides the fact that it's pretty much entirely fancy. But I mean, the trainers have nothing too unusual about them. We run a lot of Fairy Energy. We have 6 of them so that we can reliably use Geomancy quite frequently. But that's the deck in a nutshell. I'm sure it can be improved upon. This is just my first draft of the deck. And it definitely looks interesting and promising. We'll see what happens. And I would definitely play a Xerneas EX in the deck once I get one. Probably replace that Zekrom EX, but we'll see. I do have a game with the deck, which we'll take a look at right now. So here we go. We're going up against a player named Sorab. And we got 3 Pokemon to start with. I usually favor just starting with the big EX. Since we play Max Potion, you can always just heal it off. And my opponent starts with a Bagon, which is kind of strange to see. I don't know what to expect when I see that. There are 2 different ones. There's the one with Scornful Storm, which discards your opponent's hand down to 4 cards every turn. And then there's the one with Break Wing. When you put it into play, discards all your opponent's tools in play. Neither of them get much play at all. I would assume it's the Scornful Storm one, since there's a lot of hand disruption going on right now. We may see a card like Malamar come into play. that mental trash attack can discard cards from your hand. So this may just be a deck aimed at wearing you down and running you out of stuff, which has always been a pretty powerful strategy in the Pokemon TCG. So I actually see him discard an Enhanced Hammer off of the Ultra Ball, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm going to attach a Rainbow Energy to the active Yveltal EX. And we got the Tropical Beach in play as well. But did not get a Spritzy into play. That's pretty disappointing. And I also did not get a Xerneas ready to go. But hopefully next turn we can get some of those. The idea for this deck, you want to be using... Oop, and there's a red card. Ouch. That card is brutal. The idea is you want to get Aromatisse out quickly, but you really want to use Xerneas' Geomancy as quickly as you can. That is, hands down, the best card to start off with, so you can just get a ton of energy in play and give yourself a lot of options. I do Skyla here for the level ball. Tropical Beach is going to bail me out against that red card. We can Skyla for level ball to get a Spritzy into play. Now, I don't know if my opponent plays Hypnotoxic Laser. If he does, I want to keep that Virizion EX around. So even though it's painful, I'm going to discard Muscle Band at this point. And then we're going to go for a Xerneas as well. This will allow me to retreat to it in case of Enhanced Hammer. I won't be stuck active with the 2 retreat Yveltal EX. So we can see that Darkrai really coming in handy to give me free retreat. We're just going to promote the Xerneas and then Tropical Beach. And yep, there is the Enhanced Hammer that I was worried about. And we see a Dowsing Machine as well. But from here, the idea is just going to be, let's use Geomancy, get a bunch of energy in play, and go from there. We'll see how that works exactly. See a Professor's Letter. Kind of curious as to why my opponent didn't play that before using the Dowsing Machine to give my opponent more energy to discard. But Professor's Letter is another incredible card in this set. Search for 2 basic energy for an item card. That is so good. I can't believe how many good cards actually came out of this set. And we do see an Ultra Ball here for an Inkay. So yes, it is Malamar indeed. So we're going to have to look out for that. Now, I get the energy onto the Xerneas, and at this point I have a suspicion that my opponent just doesn't play Hypnotoxic Laser, so I'm going to Ultra Ball and get rid of the Virizion EX. I want to hold on to my energy if I can. Seems to be a very heavy energy removal theme, so we need to be careful with our energy drops with this deck. And I'll go ahead and play an N, just to shuffle my opponent's hand. Gives my opponent one less card and gives me some new stuff. And then we're going to use Geomancy, search for 2 basic fairy energy. And just like that, we went from 0 energy in play to 3 in 1 turn. And the Xerneas EX, or the regular Xerneas, it's not threatened to be knocked out, you know. Victini EX is a weak 110 HP EX. Xerneas is 130 HP, and it's not an EX, so we're not really worried about losing it. And it resists Dark, so it's going to be pretty strong against these Dark-type decks. It can really take a hit and then just, you know, keep getting more energy in play. It's really, really nice. We do see a Team Flare Grunt. This guy is just going all out with the energy removing. And this is about as annoying of a deck as you can get. As we see a Junk Hunt for a Crushing Hammer and an Ultra Ball. And we'll see what I should do from here. Now I do have the Prism energy. I could easily just attach the Prism and Evil Ball this turn, which is probably what I'm going to do, just to put some pressure on my opponent. 2 Fairy Energy are in the discard pile already. Thankfully, I do play Super Rod, so I can shuffle those in. I don't think I'll be in any danger of running out of energy this game. That would be my one concern when facing this deck. Otherwise, I feel like this is probably a pretty good matchup. But looks like the Super Rod is prized, which is not good. So I'm going to have to pick something else to Skyla for. And I think probably going to take Chorus, just because it'll draw me probably a bunch of cards, so might as well just take that. I don't feel like N is the right thing to do right now, since my opponent only has 4 cards. And we're going to retreat freely thanks to Darkrai's Dark Cloak, Fairy Transfer up to Yveltal EX, and Evil Ball for 80 damage. Just like that, 2 energy knockout of Sableye. That is a very, very strong attack. And this upcoming Crushing Hammer flip will be huge, I think. If my opponent flips Tails, I can actually power up Terrakion and knock out Darkrai with Land Crush. And, ow, it's heads. So that's kind of a bummer. But, oh well. We do see an N after the Crushing Hammer and then an Energy. We also see a Hard Charm, which will reduce the damage I do by 20. So that's pretty annoying. And then a Night Spear for 90 to the active and then 30 to my Terrakion. Now here I have a Rainbow Energy, so we're probably just going to use Yveltal EX. I'm going to attach the Rainbow to the active so it can take the damage and then move the energy away so I can then max potion the damage I just did to myself. Pretty... it's a subtle thing, but little things like that you have to pay attention to. You never know where putting 10 damage on your field will come back to bite you. And then I don't feel like I really can progress my board any longer or any further this turn. So I'm not even going to play my Colress, especially against a hand disruption deck like this. I want to retain as many supporters as possible for late in the game so I can draw good stuff at the end. And I'll just go ahead and Evil Ball for 100. Jeez, look at how strong this attack is. For 2 energy, it's just 100 to a Darkrai. And it even had a Hard Charm. It's kind of silly when you think about it. But we'll see. It looks like a Scornful Storm from the opponent. I have to discard a card from my hand. I'm going to get rid of that Spritzy. Don't see myself needing that. Aromatisse is probably safe. There could be Pokemon Catcher, but even if that is the case, I have attackers powered up. I have the Yveltal EX ready to Evil Ball. Terrakion just needs an energy to retaliate, so feeling pretty good about my chances. And we do see the Malamar. And my opponent's actually going to bring it out. Mental Trash could be bad if my opponent flipped 3 or 4 heads there, or 3 or 4 tails. Actually, I'm the one flipping. But look at that. I flipped 4 heads in a row. That's pretty good. So instead of losing any cards, I wouldn't have been too upset if I lost like 2 cards. But I didn't lose any. So I can just put an energy up onto Yveltal EX and Evil Ball for 100. I think what you guys are going to learn pretty quickly is that Yveltal EX is extremely good. It's just such a good card. And I see this card being very dominant for months and months probably. I wouldn't be surprised if this were the most dominant card at state championships this year. It is just such a good attacker. Evil Ball is silly when you combine it with Muscle Band. It even had Dark Claw. If Muscle Band weren't even printed, we had Dark Claw to use it. The damage just adds up so incredibly fast. I don't even know what else to say about it. But here, looks like my opponent is kind of at a crossroads trying to figure out what to do at this point. Now, Enhanced Hammers definitely could hurt. We do rely a lot on special energy. Without them, I cannot attack with Yveltal EX or Darkrai or Terrakion, and my free retreat goes away since I wouldn't have any darkness energy. So it is important to have a fairy-type attacker in the deck, like the regular Xerneas or Xerneas EX. Both of those are important, just so you have things that can attack with just basic fairy energy. Now, it looks like my opponent's just going to send out Salamence here and try to buy a turn, but I don't think it's going to survive. I could have played an N right here and tried to just get an energy. There are a ton left. Jeez. Can't believe how many energy are actually left in my deck. Feels like a bunch of them got discarded, but somehow I still have a ton in the deck. We're actually just going to Skyla for the Muscle Band to get a guaranteed knockout here. And yes, this is a knockout. This doesn't even look like it should be, but we're going to Evil Ball for 140 with 4 energy and a Muscle Band. And my opponent only had 1 energy. So 5 combined energy, and we got a knockout on a 140 HP Pokemon. That's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So now we'll have to see what happens from here. We see a Super Rod, and the Inkay comes up, and an Evo Soda. So it looks like my opponent is going for some mental trash, trying to discard some cards. Bad news for my opponent is I have nothing but cards I do want to discard. Wow, a Team Flare Grunt again. Lots of energy discarding, and this is really annoying. Crushing Hammerheads there may have devastated me, but the tails happen, so I get to keep that Prism energy on the Yveltal EX. Ends up being pretty nice. So I'll just attach the Fairy energy to the bench. My opponent only has 3 cards, so I am not going to play an N here, I don't think. I do have a Super Rod I can play just to shuffle more Fairy energy back. I think that's probably the right thing to do here, and we can get a random Pokemon. Doesn't even matter. I guess Virizion EX could potentially be helpful. And then we can Y Cyclone here. I'm going to be a little cautious. And then move the Prism energy to the bench. That way, if another Team Flare Grunt were to happen, they can't discard the Prism energy off the active, because I move it to the bench. Just a safety precaution, since I've seen a couple Team Flare Grunts already. I may as well just do that. There's no reason to keep the extra energy up on the active. I need to just protect the special energy, and I should be able to win. So here, my opponent junk hunted for an Enhanced Hammer and a Crushing Hammer, both of which are pretty annoying. And this is where I want to use my N. Shuffle those back in the deck. I don't want to see my opponent drawing those anymore. And here, I have a decision to make. I could just Y Cyclone or Evil Ball, but if my opponent gets that Enhanced Hammer back, I'm going to be stranded with an Yveltal EX active. And I won't be able to retreat it for free because of Dark Cloak. I need a Dark Energy, and without the Prism Energy, I wouldn't have it. So I'm actually going to retreat into the Xerneas, who can attack for just Fairy Energy. I'm going to have to discard one, but it's still fine. We can Rainbow Spear for 100 damage. That's such a funny attack name. We have Night Spear and Rainbow Spear. Rainbow Spear only does damage to the active, though. And yes, there is the Enhanced Hammer, so playing safely definitely pays off here. But oh no, a Crushing Hammer as well. That is rather annoying. Now I need to draw an energy to attack to win the game. I do have Tropical Beach to fall back on, or I can just draw a Rainbow Energy off of the N to 1. I guess that works too. So at this point, well, there would have to be like 2 Crushing Hammers for me to not win at this point. And nope, just a Night Spear. You can see we actually resist Dark. That's still so strange to me. But I do have the Rainbow Energy. Can just go ahead and attach. I can attack with a Rainbow Spear or Y-Ball. Evil Ball. It should be Y-Ball. That would be awesome. But yeah, we can just transfer the energy and Evil Ball for the game. And there we go. There is the brand new Fairy deck that I just built. Now, you could run all sorts of different stuff in your own Fairy deck. Aromatisse is the major player. You could revolve it all around Fairy Pokemon, or you can be kind of a Rainbow deck like I have here. Rainbow just seems appropriate with the Fairy Pokemon. But hope you guys enjoyed. I will certainly have some more videos for you guys soon. This is Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.